Hello everyone, Cody here. Welcome to RSG Outdoors. Today it is a beautiful spring day and I don't really have enough time to go out and do a fishing trip, but I am going to take you guys outside, show you around my boat, give you a few points of advice on things to look for if you're getting ready to purchase a boat, and show you a few improvements you can make if you already own a boat. Let's go outside and get started. Alright everyone, so we're outside. This is my boat. So this boat is a Lowe Stinger 195C, as you can see right there on the side. And let's start at the back here. We have a Mercury Pro XS 115. I have a series of 3 batteries in the back and a 3-bank charger. It's currently charging because tomorrow we are definitely going fishing. And let's hop up inside here. So inside the boat, we have a battery compartment. We have 2 wet storage containers. In here I've got my drift sock, my seat bases, and some rod holders. Sides of the boat. Like this, I built these little brackets. I have a aerated 23-gallon live well at the rear. Coming up our center console here. We have all my gauges and everything like that. Got a Lowrance Elite STI 5-inch on the dash, which I don't really use for anything except for mapping. Got a Lowrance Elite TI2. This is a 9-inch here at my console. This is my main console. My little station there for all my little hand tools, things like that I need. A little bit of dry storage, storage under the seats. I normally put my life jackets in there. Another 23-gallon live well. This one is not aerated. 2 rod lockers. And then my primary storage compartment. All the way up front, I have my Minn Kota Ultrex 80 horsepower or 80-pound thrust, 24-volt trolling motor with spot lock feature, which I don't know how I ever fished without that before. And up here I also have a Lowrance Elite TI2 7-inch. I also have a Track Deck Boat 40 for deploying my anchors. If you'll look along the rail, there is a track rail system on this boat. It's advertised as a 1/4 inch. What I have found is that it doesn't actually work as a 1/4 inch. It actually works as a 3/8 inch if you're putting carriage bolts in there. What you're going to need though, for whatever reason, they decided when they put this track rail system in not to add ports. I don't know if this was just an expedited process or if they actually make a bolt or something that goes in there without the use of having to use a rasping bit, which is what this is, to make a small hole on either side, like so. And doing that will give you access to putting these carriage bolts in, because otherwise you just won't be able to do it. A couple of other things that I did. So I've got these plates here, and those are for my rod rack. So my rod rack, I custom built it, and the reason I did that is because I wanted a rod rack that I could take the nuts and bolts out of and take the pieces and lay them inside of one of my rod lockers. And I can take it with me wherever I go without having it take up a lot of space on the boat. I can take the boat cover with me if I'm going to be gone for an extended period of time. Things like that are very helpful if you're trying to maintain the integrity of your boat, your carpet, things like that. I went ahead and installed all of the carriage bolts that I would need along my rail, so I don't have to remove those plates. That's just a little camera mount there. Put these little rubber grommets on here. I recommend you do that because it'll keep you from scratching up your boat paint. It also gives you a nice snug fit when you mount anything to the sides. Alright, so I mentioned a couple of improvements that you're going to want to make to your boat, or a couple of things you should look for if you're getting ready to buy a boat. And number one for me is if you have an aluminum boat like this one, you're going to want to think about sound transition if you're a fisherman. If you're just pleasure boating, this doesn't matter at all. But it does act as insulation, so if you're going to put a cooler inside of your boat somewhere, which I'll show you how I did mine in just a moment, you're going to want to do this. So what what this is foam floorboarding. It comes in like puzzle block pieces, and you can use it to build like a home gym or whatever. It's actually really cheap. You can get it off of Amazon. You can get it at most any hardware store. You might even be able to get it at Walmart or something like that. But all you do is take and cut this to the size of all of your hatches, and I'll go ahead and show you what one of mine looks like now. So I've cut it so that it fits inside of this hatch, and all I did to adhere it is I took some 3M spray. So all I did to adhere it is I took some of the 3M high traffic spray, 3M90 I think is what it's called, and sprayed it on both the back side of the material and on the inside of the lid. Clean the lid with denatured alcohol, Windex, a little isopropyl alcohol, rubbing alcohol, whatever. Just to make sure it's nice and clean first. Spray the adhesive on the material, spray the adhesive on the lid, wait a couple of minutes, and then stick it on, and that stuff's never coming off. It acts as an insulator for both temperature and for sound. Aluminum boats get really hot in the summer, and it's not fun touching latches or having things inside of compartments melt because the boat got so hot. Another thing is waterproofing. Now, I don't know if this was an oversight by Lowe when they made this boat, but the hatches were not waterproof. They were definitely not watertight either. My stuff, I left it in my boat a couple of times and it got wet. It's not a big deal, it's fishing equipment, it's gonna get wet. I'm not super concerned with it, but if I'm gonna be out there for extended periods of time, I want a dry place to put some clothes, I want a dry place to put my equipment. I just don't want things to get wet if I don't want them to be. So this is the material that they had lining the edges of all the compartments. And it's a very tight fit for this material, as is in all of the hatches on this boat. But this stuff really doesn't cut it, and it doesn't hold on to the ledge as well. So what I did is I went online and I purchased this. So if you notice, it's a very similar material, but the tooth that grabs a hold of the lip on this one is a little bit better made, and it also has a co-extruded EVA foam gasket on top. And what happens when I close my hatches is this compresses a little bit, and it gives me a nice tight water seal. And that looks like this on all of my hatches now. It's very good in my opinion. Keeps all my stuff nice and dry. No more water getting inside my hatches. And one of the last things I'm going to talk about is cooler space. Where are you going to put your drinks? Where are you going to put your food? Stuff like that. I highly recommend you either get a boat that has a built-in cooler, or you find a cooler that fits in one of your hatches. You're not going to need nearly as much stuff as you think you will on your boat. It's going to take up space, and if you'll look, this boat doesn't have a whole lot of interior space. If I'm going down the lake, I don't want things sitting on my decks where it's going to be in the way. But I definitely don't want to be out of the water all day without something to drink, without food or something like that with me. So I got a cooler that fits inside of my compartment. Now I measured the compartment, I measured the cooler and everything like that before I purchased it. I actually bought this one off of Amazon, so they had the measurements there. This cooler collapses down completely flat if I unzip it. So it'll get really flat. And I can season this cooler by shoving it in my freezer the night before if I want to. If not, it doesn't matter. I also recommend to avoid purchasing ice. If you're going to spend a lot of time on the water, buy some ice packs that fit inside of your cooler and that can keep your stuff cool all day. That'll help you out. It'll save you a little bit of money in the long run. Alright everyone, there you have it. So there's a couple of boat improvements you can make, a couple of things to look for whenever you go to purchase a new boat. Look for those hatches, make sure that there's waterproofing capability in them, see if they're insulated. If they're not, now you know a way that you can add insulation yourself. Make sure your rod lockers and everything are going to fit your equipment. See if it has a built-in cooler. If not, start figuring out a way to put one in it, because you're definitely going to need it if you're going to spend extended times on the water. Other than that, hopefully tomorrow we get out on the water, catch a few fish, and we'll see you guys then. If you like this video and you want to see more like it, click subscribe, click the little bell so you get notified when we drop new content, and we'll catch you next time on RSG Outdoors.